We ignore the doors we're told not to open. I was 92 years old when I learned I was not my husband's only wife. 3 weeks after Robert died, I broke into his locked basement office, the room I wasn't allowed to enter for 13 years. Inside was a sealed box, hundreds of love letters. Not to me. They were written to a woman he called his wife. The dates ran from 1976 to 2018, every year of our 42-year marriage. I thought I had lost my husband. What I actually lost was the truth about my entire life. And this is how I found out. I am Margaret Rose Whitfield. I am 92 years old. I was married to Robert Charles Whitfield for 42 years, and 3 weeks after he died, I discovered every single day was a lie. He had another wife the entire time, another home. He never left her. He never chose me. I was his mistress, except I did not know it. And I am here to tell you that discovering your entire marriage was a fraud after your husband is already dead is a special kind of hell. Because you cannot confront him. You cannot demand answers. You cannot even hate him properly. I was not a foolish woman. I had raised 3 children. I worked as a reference librarian for 35 years, and I never knew. Not once in 42 years did I know I was the other woman in my own marriage. What I learned is this: the most dangerous lies are the ones that started before you even arrived. You probably think you would know if you were being deceived. I never sensed anything. I thought I had a good marriage. I thought I had a devoted husband. I was wrong about everything. Robert and I met in 1976 at a church potluck in Springfield, Massachusetts. I was 50, a widow with 2 grown children. Robert was 52 and told me he was divorced with 1 daughter. He was a pharmaceutical sales rep who traveled Monday through Thursday. I was a reference librarian. He courted me for 8 months, kind and patient. When he proposed in May 1977, I said yes. We married in June, small ceremony. Robert said his family lived in California and could not make the trip. He showed me photographs of them, his elderly mother, his daughter who was pregnant. What I did not know was that Robert had been married to Caroline Mitchell since 1972. Those photographs were of Caroline's mother and Caroline's pregnant daughter. Caroline lived in Hartford, Connecticut, 38 miles away. Robert spent Monday through Thursday with me in Springfield and Thursday night through Monday morning with Caroline. He told Caroline he traveled Friday through Monday. He told me he traveled Monday through Thursday. For 42 years he kept both stories straight. Looking back, I can see the fractures, but they seemed so reasonable. He never wanted me to meet his family. He said his mother was too frail, his daughter too busy in California. When I suggested we visit, he would say, "Someday," and change the subject. I stopped asking. He never wanted weekday vacations, always weekends only. He said his company was strict about his schedule. So we took 3-day weekends, never a full week. In 1985, my son David got married on a Thursday. Robert could not take the day off. He missed my son's wedding. He apologized over and over. I forgave him. What I did not know was that Caroline's sister was getting married that Thursday, and Robert was walking her down the aisle. In 1992, my mother died on a Tuesday morning. Robert was traveling for work. He showed up Wednesday evening. He said he had driven through the night, canceled all his meetings. I was so grateful. What I did not know was that he was in Hartford the entire time, 38 miles away. He could have been there in 40 minutes. The phone was always a problem. In the early years, Robert would call me every night at 9 p.m. when traveling, always brief. If I tried to call his hotel, he said the front desk was terrible about transferring calls. When cell phones became common in the late 1990s, things got worse. He carried it everywhere, slept with it face down. When it rang, he would step outside or let it go to voicemail. He said it was work. One Saturday in 2003, his phone rang while he was in the shower. The caller ID said, "Home." I thought that was strange. Our home number was not calling him. I did not mention it. What I did not know was that Caroline was calling from their home in Hartford. The basement office was installed in 2005. Robert said his company required it for HIPAA compliance. Biometric lock that only his fingerprint could open. He said if anyone else accessed his files, he could face federal charges. I thought it was excessive. But Robert showed me official documents. I believed him. After Robert died, after I smashed that lock open, I understood why. The office was full of his other life. Photographs of Caroline on the walls. Their wedding photo from 1972. Vacations I never knew he took. A calendar showing when he would be in Hartford versus Springfield. Bank statements. Property tax bills. And those letters. Hundreds of love letters spanning 42 years. Letters where he called Caroline his everything. His one true love. The money was always tight. Robert said the cost of travel was expensive, that we needed to be frugal. I suggested getting a part-time job after I retired in 1998. He said no, that I deserved to rest. What I did not know was that Robert was maintaining 2 complete households, 2 mortgages, 2 sets of utilities and cars and insurance. No wonder we never had money. Robert died on a Sunday morning in September 2018. Heart attack in our kitchen. He was 94. The funeral was on Thursday. My children were there, friends from church. It was a lovely service. A woman I did not recognize sat in the back. Elderly, late 80s, with silver hair and red eyes. She left before the burial. I thought she must be a colleague. That was Caroline. She came to say goodbye to her husband. Then she went back to Hartford to grieve alone. 3 weeks later, I needed insurance papers. Robert had always handled finances. I knew he kept documents in his basement office. I stood outside that door for an hour. Then I got a hammer. Inside, I found his other life. Every anniversary we celebrated. Every Christmas morning. Every Sunday at church when he held my hand. Every I love you was a lie because he had a wife at home in Hartford. I hired a private investigator to find Caroline. 2 weeks later, he reported, Caroline Mitchell, age 89, lived at 847 Maple Street in Hartford since 1972. Married to Robert Whitfield since 1972. She had no idea I existed. I called her. I said, Caroline? My name is Margaret. I think we need to talk about Robert. Long silence. Then, who is this? I was married to Robert Whitfield for 42 years. I just found out you existed 3 weeks ago. She hung up. Called back 5 minutes later, crying. I do not understand. Robert was my husband. We have been married since 1972. I said, I married him in 1977. I had no idea you existed until I found your letters. We talked for 3 hours, comparing notes, comparing timelines, comparing lies. She thought she had a devoted husband who traveled during the week. I thought the same. We were both wrong. Caroline and I met in person 2 weeks later. A coffee shop halfway between Hartford and Springfield. 2 elderly women, both married to the same man, neither knowing the other existed. She brought photographs. Their wedding in 1972. Vacations they took. Grandchildren I never knew Robert had. I brought photographs too. Our wedding in 1977. Holidays with my family. My grandchildren. We looked at these parallel lives and we both cried. We were not angry at each other. We were both victims, both betrayed by a man we loved for decades. Caroline said, How did we not know? I said, He was meticulous. He was careful. He was a good liar. She nodded. Then she said, I thought we had a good marriage. I thought I knew him. I thought I was enough. I said, so did I. I am 92 now. It has been 4 years since Robert died. 4 years since I discovered my entire adult life was built on a lie. The grief is complicated. How do you grieve a marriage that never existed? How do you mourn a man who was never actually yours? My children have been wonderful, though they struggle with it too. Every holiday memory is tainted now. Every family photo has a shadow over it. Caroline and I talk occasionally. We are not friends exactly, but we have a bond no one else could understand. We are the two women who loved the same man, who were both deceived by him, who both lost years we can never get back. Here is what I learned. When someone is living a double life, you will not necessarily know. If they are careful, methodical, good actors, they can fool you completely. But there are always fractures. There are always things that do not quite make sense. The key is whether you pay attention to them or explain them away. I explained away everything. The missed family events, the mysterious phone calls, the locked office, the tight finances, the family I never met. I explained it all away because I loved him and trusted him. It was not real. None of it was real. If I could go back to 1976, I would ask more questions. I would demand to meet his family. I would insist on taking a vacation during his work week. I would look at bank statements and tax returns. I would not accept a locked office door. But I cannot go back. What I can do is tell you this. Trust your instincts. If something feels wrong, investigate. If your partner is secretive about finances, phones, schedules, demand transparency. If you are not allowed into parts of their life, ask yourself why. Because the truth, no matter how painful, is better than living a lie. My granddaughter is visiting this afternoon with lunch. We are going to look through old photo albums, the ones from before Robert, the ones with my first husband, my children when they were young, my life before I met the man who would waste 42 years of it. If this story made you think about your own relationship, your own tendency to explain away red flags, leave a comment below. Tell me what you wish you had questioned. Maybe by sharing our stories, we can help someone else see the truth before it is too late. And if you know someone making excuses for a partner's strange behavior, someone accepting explanations that do not quite make sense, share this with them. Sometimes we need a wake-up call before we waste decades on a lie. Now, if you will excuse me, I need to find those photo albums. Be well.